The NFL stands for not for long.
Set Sharga and Armstead. Roll out. Walker still running out. Looks to the left. Wide open. Thompson touchdown. Colin Thompson with the touchdown. There was nobody within 20 yards of
What a catch off the bobble. Colin Thompson scoops it up.
Lofting corner, the end zone. It is caught for the touchdown. The first NFL touch for Colin Thompson is a score.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Colin Thompson Show. Appreciate everybody tuning in and your support here of our media company, Not For Long Media, that puts together my show, Sam Boner's show, Trending Thoughts with Torrey Smith, Sideline Hustle with Drew Lieberman, Geez with Harry Mays and Jason Martinez, Showtime Speaks with Rasheed Bailey, Breaking Bats with Justin Ayers, Kate, Ryan Ripken. Who else? Let's see if I can nail them all at once. This is always a challenge. Sam Boner Show with Mick McKenzie and myself, little Mike Gill, too, early in the week. So, wow. Very blessed. Really excited. Larry Flowers, Fair But Firm. His show is coming out soon. So, lots going on in Not For Long Media. I appreciate everybody tuning in again to the Colin Thompson Show. Presented by the Fudge Kitchen, fudgekitchens.com. I was down there in Cape May this weekend. Had a great time. Really did. Cape May is a unique town, and it's a place I always talk about on here, but what a great Christmas parade. If you have family, if you have friends, if you're looking for a getaway and a reason to get down the Jersey Shore, swing by the Fudge Kitchen, see all our friends down there, tell them we sent you all the way from Ocean City down to Cape May, multiple locations. The Christmas parade was great. You know, Reed and their family at Collier's Liquor Store was fantastic to us. Really, truly, what a great place to, buy yourself some adult beverages, have a good time. Really good local business. Fudge Kitchen, another local business. We were in Cotton Company down there, another locally owned business. Where else we went? Seaview, Taco Caballito, all locals that own these businesses, which makes Cape May fantastic. No chain restaurants down there. So I know I'm all over the place, but the Christmas parade was great. The holiday spirit, the weather was great. Had an absolute blast down there. Really did. And watching some college football on Saturday. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into some NFL football. After this, we're going to get into Mike Gill, 97.3 ESPN, talking all things Eagles, Niners, all things Eagles, Cowboys coming up next week for them. But in the meantime, I'm going to touch on a little bit of everything here on my show. So there's lots to unpack this week in the NFL, but the lead story, I think, has to be the Dom situation. Big Dom, legendary security man for the Eagles. First off, I'll start by saying this. He's an absolute legend, and he's respected by so many here. This freaking thing keeps coming up on my StreamYard. If you're watching on YouTube, this thumbs up. So lead story in the NFL this week is Big Dom. And before I get into any of it and what my opinions are on the matter, who is Big Dom? Big Dom is the head of security for the Philadelphia Eagles. And, there's 32 jobs that are 32 roles, I should say, where there's head of security, there's multiple assistants, there's people that travel with the team like Dom and a couple of his assistants, there's a couple of security members that go out in advance and they, there'll be operations team with them. They'll get the hotel ready and the security team will get up and get that ready too. There's security people that sit on your floor at the hotel room when you're at away games and home games so fans don't come up and people don't come up and heckle you. So there's advanced security around NFL teams. We have police escort everywhere we go as a team, on the road, not at home. Usually, if you're at the team hotel, you're taking yourself to the game. So there's a massive role for security in the NFL, as you can imagine. So I digress, and I just kind of wanted to paint the picture of Big Dom and what his role is for the team. So Dom, I'll say this too, is highly respected. First and foremost, highly, highly respected by all the former Eagles, current Eagles, front office, everybody I've talked to, texted, tell me about Dom, tell me about Dom, tell me about Dom. They love him. They respect him. A lot of players came to his bat. So I initially, based off of what players say, have so much love and respect for Dom, who he is. What I'm about to say is really just an insight of how the league handles things. And how it's a written rule, but it's almost an unwritten rule, like you never touch players, period. And de-escalating any situation in football, people are wearing cleats, pads, helmets, gloves, violent sport, violent human beings. The number one rule is always grab your guy. Always grab your guy. So in this case, Dom, go grab your receiver that got slammed out of bounds. Penalty on the Niners would have been beneficial to the Eagles. Go grab him and get him away from the situation. And it's the ref's job, and you'll see them jump in the video, to grab Greenlaw and keep him off of, you and Smith and everyone on the Eagles sideline. Players can chirp from the sideline. Players can say stuff. Players can engage in fights, sure. But no staff member ever should ever put their hands on a player, especially in an egregious, not intent to hurt, but intent to separate. I get it. Listen, from the outside world, it's no big deal. Tom was trying to separate him. He put his hands on him first, and then Greenlaw went over the top with kind of like a hands to the face, half punch situation. Listen, I agree, but there's no gray area with this. You can't touch a player. If the player gets really violent with you and you're defending yourself, that's one thing. But you just got to really be careful with that, and I think the NFL is going to come down on him. I'm sure the Eagles will be at his defense like crazy. He may get a slap on the wrist on the organization, but it's going to be interesting to see, and I really hope nothing happens for him because I know he's a great guy. I know he apologized right away after the game to Lynch, the GM for the Niners. So just a crazy story that leads the headline of the NFL, and that makes me think that the NFL is going to try to get this swept under the rug as quickly as possible, handled internally between the Niners and the Eagles, and then we move forward because they don't want this to be the main story. They want what's ahead to be the main story. There's an awesome slate of games this weekend coming up in the NFL that are just really, it's loaded, absolutely loaded. Bills, Chiefs, competitive game. Watch out for the Bills that game, folks. Watch out for the Bills off a bye week. Chiefs aren't as hot as they have been. I like the Bills and Joe Brady and how they're running the football more. I could really see the Bills making a really close game and/or winning that game in Kansas City. You got Niners and Seattle, really big division game. Niners are on a high, really big game there. I don't have to explain that one. Jags and Browns, right? Like Trevor Lawrence, sprained ankle, nothing too crazy. Looked worse in the field. See how that goes. And, truthfully, like, what's his health? That truly matters for that team. C.J. Beathard's the backup. Browns also on backup quarterback too, but both those teams are still in the hunt. The AFC is kind of a mess. Colts, Bengals, both those teams are still in the hunt. Browning went off. Gardner Minshew and the Colts, and their kind of new shift to their organization is really exciting. And then Eagles, Cowboys, and I'm sure I maybe missed a couple games too. Dolphins play on Monday night. So there's a lot to go over this weekend coming up and lots to look forward to there. Shout out to our friends at Wealth Advisory Services. If you don't know them, you should. WealthAdvisoryServices.com. Fantastic group that I've been so blessed to work with. Head into their Christmas party tomorrow night. Great group of people that are like-minded to me, and they want to set their family up, and they want to invest and organize their lives, and they work with people's businesses, 401k plans. They help with, estate planning. They help with, helping me with tax different things. They help with long-term investments, short-term investments, whether you have a little bit of money, a lot of money. I've been really, really blessed to work with just great people that have helped me in my career. They work with some of my buddies in the NFL, college football, coaches, players. So check them out, wealthadvisoryservices.com. If you don't know them, you should. So let's get to the Niners. The Niners offense, what makes them so good? People have been asking me that question, and it's threefold. I think first off, you have to start with who they have personnel-wise, right? Like, we all know the big boys, and Juszczyk, the fullback, and Trent Williams, and Brock Purdy, and Christian McCaffrey, and Deebo Samuel, and I think the best tight end in the NFL, George Kittle, Ayuk, right? Jennings emerged, right? There's so many pieces to this puzzle. And I think that's first and foremost what makes him so good. Super talented quarterback that's on an MVP type season on a rookie contract. Great. The scheme, the play action pass, the shifts, the motions, knowing when it's time to take a deep shot, throw a screen versus pressure, how good those skill players again are with yards after the catch. Almost all of them are just ridiculous with Yak. So the scheme's there. The players are there. But what really makes him scary is, out of any formation, out of any personnel grouping. What they're able to do to dictate the look they want is what makes them really scary. They're going to go jumbo set, and they're going to go with a fullback and tight end and another running back, 21 personnel. Probably high percentage teams are going to run the football in that personnel. They'll go play action pass, throw a rocket screen, do some sort of play that no one would really ever do out of 21 personnel, and they have crazy successful with it. They'll line up with, a tight end split out wide and a running back in the backfield, and they'll run the ball in that set, with 11 personnel versus, a light box and a bunch of people in coverage because you're trying to shut things down because of passing down in a passing situation. So where they blend the run with the pass in the screen game, it's like literally art. If you're a football nerd, it's art. Other teams, Kansas City, the Eagles, they're in shotgun. They're doing some creative stuff, don't get me wrong, but they're taking matchups and they're, working some run game and some zone read stuff in there. At the end of the day, like the purest form of offense in the NFL, don't let anybody tell you anything differently, is what the Niners doing. The combination of players, scheme, and the ability to dictate what they want based off personnel groupings and attack the defense with a set that looks like they're going to run the ball in, or a set looks like they're going to pass the ball in, and do the complete opposite and catch you off guard. So the Niners are super scary, getting hot at the right time like we talked about. We talked about how they buried earlier in the season. They lost 3 straight, and the sky's falling, and then all of a sudden they all come back healthy. They get a nice break, and they stick it to the Eagles, who were the best team in the NFL. I still think the Eagles are at the top of the NFL. Don't get me wrong, but I think the Niners obviously take a massive step back for the game and jump them. It's going to be a great matchup if we get to it in the playoffs. I hope that happens because be a 3-game series. Eagles knocked them off in the playoffs last year. They beat them in the regular season this year handily back in Philly, and we'll see where it is based off home field advantage down the stretch. Buying tickets to a game this year, check out SeatGeek, promo code Colin Thompson, COLINTHOMPSON, SeatGeek, $20 off your tickets, $50 or more. Key time for the Eagles here moving forward. And everyone's talking about how the Niners came off the break and the Eagles had 3 games in 13 days. It plays a huge difference. No one's really going to talk about it, but it does. It's fair, but that's all a part of it, right? There's different parts of the schedules that are positive for some teams and negative for others, right? Like Eagles have a really tough stretch right now. They didn't have a tough stretch earlier in the season. Eagles had more, days rest and Thursday night football and the bye week. Maybe that happened at a certain point. Now they're hitting to that point of, is the depth the same? Players are playing more snaps, big time pressure. But this is a part of the season, and there's ebbs and flows. So how the Eagles handle their week this week is really a sign to me of what Nick Sirianni and the staff thinks of the team maturity-wise, because they just got smoked by the Niners. Everybody knows that the players are disappointed about it. The coach are disappointed about it. But if he takes care of their legs, gets them fresh, that's a veteran team with rookies that are mature and want to be great. Younger players that are mature and want to be great, led by Jalen Hurts, probably the best leader in football at this point of time. So the Eagles come out and they look sluggish again versus Dallas. They probably had a tough week because, hey, Eagle coaching staff trying to prove a point like, hey, we need to get our crap together. So we'll see what they look like against Dallas. It's going to be a tight game on the road, back-to-back away games for the Eagles. They play Dallas and they have a long week. They play Monday Night Football versus Seattle. That game got flexed. So I think see what Eagles' energy level is in this game for Dallas, because they hung on tight in the beginning, and then once the game got off the wheels a little bit, it looked like the Eagles were running around and just didn't look as fresh and as spry as as the Niners, and that's a part of an NFL season. It's not an excuse; it's just a part of the season. There's good, they're bad, they're different. That's why you got to stay the course, stay even keel, and eventually, hopefully, you're poised and ready and fresh and healthy for a playoff run. Transitioning now to the college football playoff. Let me make this crystal clear first off. Florida State got screwed. I feel bad for the coaches, the players, the staff, the boosters, the athletic directors, the campus, the students, the alumni for Florida State. I feel horrible for them. Michael Wilbon, who I have a ton of respect for, really loved their show, PTI, said something along the lines of the show yesterday that football is, known for the sport that gives you the best life lessons. And I sat there and said, yeah, it does. Football is amazing. It teaches you amazing life lessons and life and work skills that you would not get unless you play football or you play sports. Those reps, at least at a younger age, mold you to be a healthier, stronger, confident adult through sport. He said, football, the world let us down. This is not a good lesson. It's saying you could do all the right things and still not get in. And I say, wait, actually, that's the perfect life lesson. That's the perfect life lesson to learn from football, because the life's not fair. Everyone listening to this knows this. All of us. Life is not fair. You could do all the things right in life, or all the things right in your world right now, and the ball still may not bounce your way. You may go undefeated. You may have a great defense. You may have a great offense. You may have first-round picks and second-round picks all over the roster, and a great recruiting class, and a great head coach, and a great AD. But your best player got hurt in the worst time. Life's not fair, and college football is a big business. There were 2 lessons that were taught through football in that. Is it right? No. Do I agree with it? No. Thank goodness we're expanding next year to 12, because it's really unfair for them. But it's a life lesson that I thought was really interesting when Wilbon said, football let us down with life lessons. No, it did not. It was spot on. That life's not fair, and life is a business. So you got to get busy living in that business, or it's going to pass you by. Florida State will come back bigger, better, stronger, and faster because of it. And how they handled the situation and their integrity will show what the future of Florida State will look like. All right, return to page to the Army-Navy, wrapping things up here. Super excited for the Army-Navy game this weekend. Listen, last year, crazy game. Ken Niumatalolo got fired. Reports from Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia right after the game. Crazy, crazy drama there. This game is bigger than you realize. Coach Ken's the winningest coach in Navy football history. He's been with Navy football for decades. This year, they're playing it in Foxborough. And I thought a really interesting note is that the entire campus, the entire student body for Army and Navy, they busted the game on game day morning. Game's at 3 o'clock. So they're going to be waking up here at Navy, and they're going to be like hundreds of coach buses on their way to Foxborough, New York, and then back all in the same night. Crazy. I don't know how long that drive is. Probably 7 hours. Up around New York City, up through Connecticut, up to Boston. Pretty crazy. 8 hours. Crazy drive. So that's a little tidbit there. Now the team's going to be there before I get all that, but that's a little tidbit for Army Navy. And then 50 and sunny at kickoff. So not your traditional Army Navy game with the snow and the wind, which I do wish it was. I think Army is a 2.5-point favorite. I read in the newspaper today. So really can't wait for that. 3 o'clock on Sunday. We're going to be in Annapolis watching it on CBS. Just one of the tidbits I wanted to bring up here as we move along on the Colin Thompson Show. Army Navy can't beat that tradition. We thank everybody for their service. First responders, police, military, frontline workers. We thank you. We thank you for your service, and what a great game, to show, some positivity around just a crazy world we're in right now with the Army-Navy game and these young men that are ready to go off to war or serve our country. Thank you, thank you, thank you. To live in Annapolis and be around you guys is amazing, and I cannot thank you, your families, for the ultimate, just sacrifice of going to school. Sure, you play football, but really you represent this country, and we can't thank you enough here at Not For Long Media and the Colin Thompson Show. Quick one for me here today. Just wanted to touch on a few things about myself. Solo. Shout out to our friends at Fuel Hunt. Got to do a really cool thing with them and speak to their kind of higher level followers. I think they pay a subscription. Check that out if you want to. FuelHunt.com. Amazing product that I work out in, train in, travel in. Love their stuff. Shoreboy.co, a great little company that I've worked with now for some really cool, calm, and collected summer gear that I wear on the beach, but I wear it year round. Everybody's wearing the dry fit stuff now year round. Love their stuff at Shoreboy, and our friends at Actions Over Words, actionsoverwordsapparel.com. Alec and our friends at Colliers. Shout out to Kate May again for an amazing weekend. So thankful for everyone who took great care of myself, my family. What a great little spot, great local town with great people in it. So that does it for me on the Colin Thompson Show. We're going to send over to Mike Gill from 97.3 ESPN South Jersey. We're talking all things Eagles football.
Live 97.3 ESPN. Colin Thompson from the Colin Thompson Show on Not For Long Media. He is a NFL tight end, played in the league, multiple teams, multiple years. He breaks it all down with us after the fact. A lot of Monday morning quarterbacking here for the Eagles' loss. Colin Thompson is back here on the Sports Pass Live on 97.3 ESPN and Not For Long Media. What's up, buddy?
What's up, brother? Great chatting with you. I had a great time down in Cape May this weekend. Shout out to everyone down there, Mike. You have a lot of listeners down there. the Levins at Collier's, the people from the Fudge Kitchen, always tuning in, supporting you, Scotty H and Lance and all those guys say hello. So they're big fans of your show. You have a great show, man. I can't thank you enough for having me on.
Well, we always get good education, good stuff here because the fans have thoughts. You played in the league. We try to clear it all up. I want to start with this. A lot of missed tackles, a lot of yards after catch, a lot of linebacker talk. You play tight end. You got George Kittle. You got Christian McCaffrey. The Eagle linebackers and all the missed tackles. Kind of clear it up for the listeners as to why you thought that was such a problem on Sunday.
Well, there's a lot to unpack, but what I'm going to try to do, explain this as quickly and as clearly impossible for radio. What the Niners have offensively will not be stopped by anybody in the league when they're all healthy. It just won't happen. It will not happen. And it has not really happened since Brock Purdy has got under center because his decision-making and the way he fits into that offense with those skill pieces allow them to do that. I'll start with the salary cap, Mike. The salary cap allows them to have all those skill pieces because their quarterback is on a rookie deal. Eagles do not have a quarterback in a rookie deal. They still have the second best roster in the NFL behind the Niners. Why the linebackers are at play, right? Why are we talking tight ends and running backs in space? Well, the Eagles went a little bit more man-to-man coverage this week. They tried to bring an extra body down into the box, stop the run because the Niners do it so well, and you're going to get a lot of man-to-man coverage. There are very few linebackers in the league that can run with a lot of running backs in the league. There's a lot of really good pass-catching running backs in this NFL now. They'll go in on third down. You have multiple in Philly. You have multiple in San Francisco. And C-Mac, who's ridiculously impossible to guard, he ran an out and up there, and like the linebacker thought he was running an out route because he always runs an out route. So there's that whole side of it. But at the end of the day, like Kyle Shanahan sets all that up for those matchups to happen. And he did a great job dictating them. And then you go on the other side of the ball where the Eagles offense wasn't really clicking that well either. So like it all plays in when you play these teams that are complete football teams that are well coached. You can't just have one side that's dominant or the other side that's dominant or a big special teams play. Like you got to play your best football. And the Eagles, like they've said, they have not played yet. I think it's coming down the line. And I think today was a wake-up call, not to gallivant them to play harder because they all play hard and they all work hard, but to say this is what we do well. We're going to do it no matter what. We're going to find a way to have success just doing what we do. And I think that's going to clear things up because the Eagles do a little bit of everything.
If you were in the San Francisco tight end room this week, would they have said, guys, this is going to be a good week here. We got Nick Morrow. We got Christian Ellis. We're going to target those guys. Was that something that was stressed during San Francisco's preparation?
Mike, those conversations happen in every tight end room every week, and there's like 2 or 3 linebackers in the league. Maybe I shouldn't say that. There's a couple more that are good coverage guys. Now, there's more coverage linebackers now than ever. Everybody's like 230 or under. Very few are heavy. But like Warner and Greenlaw, like they're monsters. They don't really exist around the league. They're like, Bowman and Willis, like back in the day. They're that good where they can play the run and the pass. But any running back or any tight end on a linebacker is an advantage in the league, like I said, other than maybe a couple guys. So Kittle's the best tight end in the league, in my opinion, because he does everything. He's not just a pass catcher like Kelsey. And then C-Mac is the best receiving running back in the NFL. And he can block. He threw a huge block on one of their big plays. So they have those unicorn-type players. Trent Williams is a unicorn. Kittle's a unicorn. And then if not, their second and third options at wideout. They find the matchups they want, whoever the kind of DB they think is the least of the group, and they're just going to go at them. And you saw that late in the game too.
Colin Thompson's with us from the Colin Thompson Show on Not For Long Media. We're looking back at some of the things here. The Eagles blitzed. We always hear the fans, Colin.
Blitz. Jim Johnson.
Got a blitz. Well, they listened. It did not go well. Why?
Well, Eagles are built on bend, don't break. That's Sean Desai. That's Vic Fangio's system for those that follow what they do in Miami or what the Bears used to do. They're going to put 5 guys on the line. They're going to be big. They're going to be strong. They're going to be physical. Eagles have that. And they're going to keep everything in front of them. The Vikings ran that defense last year for those keeping score at home. And they struggle at times. You have a boomer bust. But like you said earlier, Mike, on the Sam Boner Show when you joined us, you got to go 10, 12 plays, 4, 5, 6 drives in a game. That's hard to do. Well, the Eagles went a little less boom or bust. They blitzed because that's what Jim Johnson would do. And at the end of the day, right, it bit them. Purdy was perfect, near perfect when they brought pressure, and you saw what happened. They saw the pressure coming. Deebo Samuel, catch, tuck, jailbreak screen, rocket screen, out the gate. So when you play those teams, you really got to play bend, don't break. There's run game implications. Like, we're talking high level football here. The Niners just, at the end of the day, it wasn't the right matchup. It wasn't the right day. But I think greener days are ahead for the Eagles actually because of this loss. We move on from the emotion of last year and all that drama. That's over. Now we can move forward.
Tell the listeners what happens now after a loss like that. You're 10-1, but you've been kind of finding ways to win, and your identity has kind of become you find ways to win. You don't always play your best, but in the end, you find a way to win. And then you get this one where you essentially get punched in the throat, kicked in the face. I mean, you find all your warts in one single game. Is this, hey, we had a bad week to have a bad week, or there were a bunch of things that were pointing to this happening, and then it finally happened?
I think it's been pointing for this to happen, right? And it was 3 games in like 2 weeks. That's really tough too. Niners coming off a 10-day break. To me, Mike, this is what happens. You're sitting in these rooms and your offensive coordinator comes in and say, hey, guys, we sucked. And Jalen Hurts, who's the leader and the legend, raises his hand and say, I sucked. And Lane Johnson raises his hand and say, I need to be better. And goes down the list. Julio Jones steps up and talks to the team and says, guys, I've been a part of a lot of these losses in this world. It doesn't define you. It's a week-to-week league. Even C-Mac said that after the game when we beat the Eagles. And that dude has been through some losing now. I was with him in Carolina. So it is a week-to-week league. 1 week the Niners are up. Next week they could be down. So that's going to be the initial segment, Mike. And then offensively, which I've been a part of those meetings, I'm going to elaborate on that. I've never been on the defensive side of the ball since high school. Was, guys, we're going to simplify the playbook. We're going to go back to those runs early on in the season that really helped us. When we played the Bucs and literally ran them off the planet. Like, and that Bucs defense is really good now. So at the end of the day, I think you just get simple, Mike. You're going to see simple for the Eagles this week. You're going to see guys, I'm going to let you guys pin your ears back, play fast, and we're going to simplify the playbook, play with some confidence. One thing to keep an eye on is how fresh their legs are going to be. Because if they come out fresh and flying, Nick Sirianni took care of them this week, and he trusts the team. Because usually after those losses, you are Oklahoma drill, you are getting tougher, you need to work some of those issues out. But if he keeps them fresh and healthy and believes in them and trusts in them, which I think he does as a veteran team, they're going to be fresh for Dallas.
All right, so a lot of people watching the game, texting in yesterday, texting in today, thought the Eagles got a little pass happy. But not only did they get pass happy, Jalen, like backyard football, holding, looking, bouncing, sprinting out, almost, hey, go to the corner, like hand signaling to the receivers. What did you make of some of the play calls, design? Why did it look like backyard football was happening and not very good?
I think the missing piece is Dallas Goedert. I think he stirs the drink. He shows different coverages because if a running back goes out there for him, that's Dallas Goedert. I mean, if a linebacker goes out and guards him in man-to-man coverage, then it's man-to-man, right? If a corner's out there over Dallas Goedert, then it's zone. So I think Dallas has really hurt them with what they want to do in the run game. Like, because the run game sets up the pass game. I firmly believe that. Look at the Niners. They'll show you. So I think with Goddard coming back here either this week or next, that's massive for them, Mike. So I don't know about the bouncing around. I saw that, the scrambling, the kind of backyard football stuff. But at the end of the day, like when you go down multiple scores and they're playing deep coverage and they're saying, hey, we're going to get home with our 4 guys, sometimes you just got to throw the check down. And whatever that was, they schemed it up so the check down was not available. So the Eagles got to keep games close. Like this is not going to be a blowout team. They're loaded. They're a very talented roster, and they have great coaches. But teams play them tough. It's Philadelphia Eagles now. It's not a pushover.
Okay, I had a text message early in the year, okay, and I thought it was interesting at the time. And, you know, the numbers suggest is a top 5 offense, top like 3 in scoring, yada, yada, yada. And his comment was kind of interesting. I want to get your take on it. Colin Thompson, NFL tight end, not for long media. Here on the Sports Bash and not for long media. So he essentially says, look, it's great that they're top 5, but they shouldn't be top 5. This offense with this offensive line, the runner-up in the MVP, A.J. Brown, Goddard, Smith, Swift, they shouldn't be top 5. They should be historically great. Why are they good but not great? Is that fair comment?
I don't think it's fair. I think top 5 in the NFL nowadays is really hard to do. There's a lot of teams offensively that can move it and groove it, even with backup quarterbacks. Look at what Cincinnati did last night offensively. I mean, that kid played near perfect, and he got, a game worth of snaps? Pretty impressive. So top 5, I think, is very elite and very hard to do. Yes, I get it, but you're trying to say they should be in the upper echelon. That's the upper echelon to me.
Not the upper echelon of the league this year. Talking about a historic type of team with the talent that they have. You got A.J. Brown, you got Devonta Smith, you got DeAndre Swift, you got Jalen Hurts, you got Goddard. And by the way, you have the best offensive line in the league. Why is this not so – why does it not click like clean and fun? And
the hardest part with this question is I don't know what's going on in that building, and none of us know. But why is DeAndre Swift not get the ball more? I think to me that's the key is like when DeAndre is running the rock, like there's some viciousness. It's almost like Pacheco in Kansas City. Like he's different cat. He runs hard. But DeAndre has a lot of that in him. St. Joe's prep kid. He's a local guy, super tough. Went down to Georgia, had a great career there. I mean, to me, that's the key. That he stirs the drink. Like they have all those great players, and there'll be better players. DeAndre's probably the, I don't know, 8th or 10th best player on that offense, maybe even less down the line. But the offense should be ran through him and Jalen in the zone read game. So that's to me, I think Jalen being a little hobbled this year, DeAndre not being featured as much. They're the two things for me, Mike, where if I'm Philly and I'm making it simple this week and say, hey, low line, I'm sorry. I'm sorry we haven't been pounding the rock as much. We're going to spread people out. We're getting Dallas Goedert back, and we are going to run the football. We're going to work some RPOs off of it to keep you guys in the loop. But the Eagles, why they haven't had success, I think they have too many options. Like there's only one ball. And what the Niners do, it's like, we're going to ship, we're going to motion. Everybody seems involved all the time. But really, it's like, and they are because they spread it out really well. So we'll see. I think it's going to be a good game plan with this week. They're going to learn from this. This is going to be a much different Eagles team coming out against Dallas.
Shaq Leonard, you've played against him. He signs with the Eagles. There's a lot of confusion from my mind here. Why did this happen? Why did Indianapolis say this guy's no longer needed? So Philadelphia picks him up a week similar to last year. They give up a lot of yards on the ground to Washington. They go get Joseph, Sue. Okay, you ran the ball on us. We had a problem. This week, our linebackers got targeted. They did not play well. We go out to the street. We're bringing a guy in. Can the guy help this team? Well, the numbers suggest he has not been very good in coverage. It's an interesting signing. What do you know about Shaq Leonard and what he might bring to this defense?
I think how they're going to use him is on a pitch count. He'll probably come in early, get some reps. They're going to try to keep him healthy and have him grow for the stretch run. Right now, I know we're on the stretch run now, but like for the big games, like late in the year, like if the Eagles having a relevant game, like I don't see him playing in it, right? Like they need to protect him, but they also need to like sharpen his sword and get him ready to play. So I think you're going to see some of that. You may see him in certain situations and certain matchups that the size super smart guy, he's going to find a way to use him, but also bring him in. You're going to see that. And then 2, if you get him, you get like Brian Urlacher. That's what you get. If he can be normal, but obviously he's not, right? The Colts would not let him walk out of the building. Dallas wouldn't let him walk out of the building when he was down there on a visit. So my point to all this is you're going to get a all-pro type linebacker if he's healthy. And if you get a little lesser version of that, that's okay too, because he's a leader. I mean, this guy was handing out turkeys the day after he got cut in Indianapolis. He went to the Colts game to cheer on the Colts after he got cut. I think he was sitting in the owner's box. So like they love him, and it was like a mutual parting of ways because he knew his body's shot. So that's what I'm concerned about. It sounds like is like his health's in jeopardy. So if they can get him fresh, Mike, for the stretch run. Love the signing. Great dude, ultimate competitor. The guy is a freak of nature physically and plays extremely, extremely hard.
All right, Eagles lose. Now they'll play Dallas this week. It's another team, Dallas, where they'll have 10 days to get ready for Philadelphia, who's played 3 in 13 days. This will be their 4th in 20 days now against Dallas. Is that something, Colin, that matters? Is that when you look at these games and you're an NFL player and you're like, all right, Carolina, we played 3-13. We're playing against Tampa,
Yep.
who has had 10 days rest. I mean, Tampa's not a team that is thought to be a Super Bowl contender, but do you look at that and say, well, they got some extra rest. This is going to be a challenge for us.
I think that when you play these interdivision games, or a conference team that you play a lot based off like how you finish and all that, you play teams multiple times in a year or a couple of years, you have a ton of confidence. It's like the guy you practice against every day because you know what it's like. Like I blocked Hassan Reddick all the time in Carolina. Now, it wasn't always great, but I knew what Hassan was going to do. I knew how to attack Hassan. Plus, I played him at Temple. Played with him at Temple. So I practiced against him a lot. It's the same thing when you're playing, Cam Jordan in New Orleans or Shaq Barrett in Tampa. Like, yeah, you're not going to win the rep all the time, but you have experience against him. You know what he wants to do. So you can attack him with confidence. So that's why these division games end up being great. Washington, Dallas, like really no one talks about that, but it's the confidence the players have laying like, I know what this guy's going to do. Because if you practiced against them, if you joint practiced against them, you're not worried about getting beat. You're just worried about competing. But when you get in a game and the right lights, guys, palms start to sweat a little bit. And that separates the good and the bad and how confident you can get. So guys will be swinging in this game. This is going to be a big-time chippy game. This is for all the marbles.
Yeah.
This game is a big deal.
Philadelphia, just for the listeners out there, Philadelphia loses the game. They are still in first place in the East. They would be tied with Dallas. If both teams finish 14-3, Philadelphia would win the tiebreaker over Dallas. If all three teams finish 14-3, San Francisco would be the number 1 seed, Philadelphia would be 2, and Dallas would be 5. It's a very important game, but if Philadelphia wins this game, they really keep the upper hand for both the number 1 seed and the NFC East. So it is a huge game, but a loss, they would still have a path to win the NFC East. What would end up happening, Colin, is they would both be tied with 4 games left. Philadelphia plays Seattle, New York, Arizona, and New York again. Dallas has Buffalo, Miami, Detroit.
Whew.
A lot different road for Dallas than Philadelphia. So
yeah, Philly's going through it now, right? They're going through that stretch now. It all comes up and down. It's going to come down to hopefully we get a meaningful game on Christmas, Mike.
Ho, 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 everybody.
Ho, ho, ho.
Colin Thompson. Check out the Colin Thompson Show on Not For Long Media. They have a ton of great content on the Not For Long Media channel. And, of course, right here on Tuesdays on the Sports Bash, we break it all down with Colin. A little merger collaborative effort there from CT. All right, brother. Good to see you.